welcome to the Free Cheese, episode 501. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Matt Sellner.
Hello.
Mark Augustiniak.
Hey.
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. This week, Season 11 continues with Def Jam Fight for New York. We'll talk about the game, rank it, review it, and send it off with the rest. Before that, I'd like to know, Mark, who was your favorite Def Jam artist to be featured on MTV Cribs?
Couldn't even tell you.
I figured this icebreaker question would either immediately result in responses where you had a very specific instance come flashing back out of the depths of your memory, or this would be the most uncomfortable opening we've had in quite some time.
For some reason, I feel like maybe... Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know the full roster of Def Jam, even though they showed it in the opening credits.
I can tell you that as I ask the question and as I try and think of answers to the question, all I can picture in my head is just an image of Exhibit smiling. Not even...
See, and I was gonna say Exhibit, because I was like, I feel like this is probably where his career lifted off outside of music. Where it's like, as soon as he was on the episode of Cribs, we're like, hey.
But I don't even have an answer. I don't even have a memory of him on Cribs. I'm just literally picturing him in like a baby blue, football jersey, smiling, and that's the only image in my head when I say the words Def Jam MTV Cribs, which was not his show at all.
No.
I need to type in the words Exhibit and MTV Cribs and see what I get. Matt, what do you got? You remember?
No, I'm just going to assume that DMX barked at someone, so I'm going to go with DMX.
That sounds about right. Alright, so Exhibit, in his appearance on MTV Cribs, is wearing a New York Rangers jersey. It looks to be like an old logo. Matt, you might remember this one more than I do. I don't remember this one at all, but it's just the Statue of Liberty's head, and then it says NYR.
New York Rangers.
Yeah, but it's not their normal,
That's alternative.
Mm-hmm. Still today?
I think it does get used, yes, because they haven't really changed their logo. It's kind of always been, it's been that badge for quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm just always used to the badge and but that's like the classic Rangers, not the head of the Liberty.
Yeah, I don't know how if they still use it, but that was definitely an alternative. Because I'm sorry, did you say it was like dark blue?
No, that was my memory of it.
Oh.
It's actually like white and yeah.
Even if I had a favorite, I couldn't even tell you what their house looked like at this point. I can't remember anyone's house on MTV Cribs at this point, besides Gorillaz, because it was like their studio and it was animated.
Oh, I don't remember that at all. Yeah, I remember like little elements of random episodes of Cribs.
Yeah.
People's
I just know
dogs.
that, some of them had the tropes where, if they had showed their bedroom, they're like, this is where the magic happens.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Always.
That was every episode.
Yeah. Nothing magic has ever happened in that bedroom, I promise you that.
That bed, they probably don't even, sleep in that house.
No.
Out of the 5 that they own, you know?
Yeah. I think there's a clip of Beyonce going through one room, and it's very obvious that, you've never been in this room before. You are, hamming it up for the camera in the episode, but you've never stepped foot in here.
I don't know the celebrity, but I specifically remember that their guest bedroom looked like a horror movie. It was padded walls, there was blood on the windows and stuff. They wanted to make it creepy and uncomfortable so nobody overstayed their welcome. I forget who it was, but I do remember that room.
I am curious if you can still watch MTV Cribs, because some of that stuff it's lost indefinitely. But I wonder if
it looks
sure
like some
somewhere.
episodes are straight up on MTV's YouTube.
Okay. And you can buy them from... Well, they skip a couple seasons on iTunes, but they've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They're there. And then seemingly available via Paramount Plus. So
makes sense.
If you want to watch
if,
Dream, Kathy Griffin, and No Doubt, you can do that right now. Followed by Ice-T, Jason Williams, and Orgy. And then can jump right to season 5 and get a look at Mark Hoppus and Jamie Kennedy's houses.
Jamie Kennedy.
I wonder if there was ironically, some licensed music that they just didn't re-up on. Sorry, you just can't, because you can't freaking show these episodes.
I bet you that is
they're
exactly
MTV
why they're not.
though.
Yeah,
they're MTV though. They're the music television.
Tell that to Kurt
tell
Loder.
tell me one music thing about them.
Yeah, I got nothing for you there. Speaking of licensing rights and reasons why things aren't re-released, we played Def Jam Fight for New York this week. Developed by Aki Corporation and EA Canada. Published by EA Games. First released on the PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Xbox in North America on September 20th, 2004. Got a nice short and sweet back of the box for you this week with Fight for control of hip-hop's underworld. Hit hard with 5 fighting styles. Anything goes. Bats, bottles, pipes, and more. Watch your back. Crowds get into the action. Own the streets with your creative character. Featuring more than 40 hip-hop superstars. There you have it. Concise, easy, clean.
Hip-hop's underworld with the most mainstream of them all.
Yeah. That's, when you look back at it now, so the game's, we've got a lot to say about this one, I think, but the game is a sequel to Def Jam Vendetta, and I would say all but maybe 1 or 2 characters in the game are actual people. And then those actual people are either playing themselves or playing a character in the game. I think there's 2, characters that are in the thing that are just completely made up and voiced by whatever, but everybody else is generally voiced by a hip hop artist, or they are actually playing themselves. So it's either their likeness is there or not. So for example, Method Man plays a character, our loving partner in this game, Blaze. But he's not Method Man. Danny Trejo plays Trejo, but it's not always,
Kratos is in this game.
Kratos is in this game. That's one of the ones I'm talking about, right? He's playing, what was his character's name in this?
Oh, I think it started with a D.
Is it D-Mob?
He might have been D-Mob. Yes, he was D-Mob.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you. Christopher Judge.
I did not realize that.
As soon as I saw in the credits, I was like, Chris Judge. I was like, who's? And then I heard.
I really didn't watch the credits.
It said Chris Judge is D-Mob or something. And I was like, all right. It's not as deep, but it's there. It's easy to picture.
The weird one for me too was Henry Rollins being in the game. He's the guy you go to upgrade your character, but was he a part of Def Jam, or is he just
I was thrown off by Danny Trejo, honestly.
That's
sure. Or no, even Carmen Electra. I'm like, okay, whatever.
But see, Carmen Electra, while I did the same thing, she also was. I mean, she dated Dennis Rodman for years. She was, I guess, affiliated with the scene.
She was affiliated with my brother's bedroom as a poster on the wall.
It's probably the main reason she's in the game right there.
Yeah, they're not wrong. There are 67 playable characters in the game, many of whom appear in the single-player story. But the game starts out, it picks up directly where the last game left off, except this time you play a customizable character that you take through a story. I not played the first one. Mark, had you played the first one before this?
No, this is my very first time with any of this franchise.
And Matt, this was your addition to the list. Have you played both games in the series?
There's 3 games in the series, and I've played the first 2.
What was the third one? Oh, right, the third
Def
one was...
Jam Icons, which was trash.
Yeah.
But no, I played the proper first 2. At release, I don't know if I had Vendetta and Fight for New York day one, but probably shortly after their release, I had both at some point and played them, and those games were very memorable.
And what drew you into it? Because you were surprised I never played it, through that era of my life, even via Blockbuster rental. And after me playing it now, I'm also equally surprised. Like, how did I miss this one? Why did I miss this one? But yeah, in your case, what drew you to these?
So funny enough, back, what was the episode number? 849, I selected my words carefully when you asked me why I picked WWF Betrayal. I said, it's tough to follow No Mercy as a wrestling game, but I had to put, and this is where I was creative, I had to put a WWF game on the list. However, No Mercy is probably the reason why I play Vendetta.
Yeah.
Because Vendetta's control scheme is very similar to No Mercy's. And it plays a lot like it. And Vendetta is actually pretty different in gameplay from this one as well. It's very more wrestling-based. You're pinning your opponents like a 1-2-3 proper, not doing KOs. There's no weapons. It's a lot of rings, more so than anything else. And the not the main reason, because I think I just like this game better. But also, Mark, I had you in the back of my head because the first game there's no creative character. And as ridiculous as this creative character can become, which is actually one of my favorite things about this game. Yeah, that was another reason I had to put this one on the list instead of Vendetta.
I took full advantage.
I figured everyone here would. Just the one thing that stinks that Vendetta has better is DMX and some of his music in the main menu.
Yeah, that would have been good.
But no, I would say I think everything else about Fight for New York is like the next step up. And yeah, so sorry to answer the original question. Play Vendetta probably because I was wrestling game like No Mercy. Interesting. I wasn't really big into hip hop, rap, whatever, but interesting concept. It was goofy enough. The wrestling was pretty good. I wouldn't say it's that sharp as No Mercy, but pretty good. And then this was the sequel, and the first one was so good. I liked it so much that I had to play the sequel, and I like this one too.
It's funny that you were able to pick up on similarities between just kind of knowing, oh, this is the same developer and there's a connective thread. I was able to pick up that Canadians were involved with this game because when I went to go buy a beanie for my character, it was called a toque. And I was incredibly confused. And then I looked it up. I was like, did they? Oh, okay, there you go. EA Canada. Right in the title.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
I only knew about it from Nathan Fielder. But besides that, so the customization, did you guys find yourselves getting deep into your outfit purchases, or did you kind of settle in early and be done? I felt like I would clear some story missions, like 1 or 2, right? Like get a good bit of cash, and then I'd go shopping.
I'll say because I played this game before, I the first probably, I feel like I played through this game twice as a kid. I feel like both times I would like go shopping early with after a couple matches with whoever I had, and then once I got a bunch of money, I would go back one last time and buy everything diamonds, of course, right. Really look good, really look sharp, and then buy some expensive like probably basketball, one of those Air Jordan tank tops.
Yeah,
pick a good color or whatever. Probably some camo pants and be on my way with some good sneakers. But this time I knew this. Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say this with knowing the story beast this time around, I purposely changed outfits at certain points of the story, knowing no one was coming, so I saved my money accordingly, and I slowly built up my look and changed when appropriate.
Yes. Mark, what about you?
So, I kind of just was set in early on, but my approach to this game had to change very quickly. As I was learning through the base of the character creator, I love how creative it is, where it's just like, all right, you're in a police station and they gotta draw up a mugshot of what you looked like. It doesn't translate well to the final thing, but they kind of cover that, where they're like, hey, is this right? And then you can like pick like, oh, hey, it is, or no, like we gotta fix it, whatever. So I was trying to be as accurate to my stature, IRL, and the lowest you could go with weight was 165, and I'm 20 pounds lighter than that. So I was like, well, I guess I'm just fit and buff in this one, no matter what, which is fine. Not really a complaint. The hair was very limited, but I had a feeling you would probably get more later as you progress, whatever. So I couldn't do long hair, so I decided to harken back to old angsty, or I guess I'm still angsty, but more angsty me back when this game, I guess, came out. So my character would probably have spiky hair and sideburns, so I did that. And I picked the nasaliest voice I could get. So whenever you do a victory, it's just like, yeah, while you're down there, clean my boots.
You just got owned, bitch.
Yeah, and like all the clothes, I was like, well, for some reason, I couldn't do a matching tracksuit like you would expect, right? So I had to think on the fly, and I was like, man, what other games came out around this time? What else is like super edgy with this? And I was like, you know what? let's pick old Mark favorite, Final Fight Streetwise, and I picked my costume to look as close to Kyle Travers' outfit as much as possible. So it's like an open shirt, tank top underneath, green cargo pants. Just this little
Capcom's got to do you right
one
day.
To everyone. Huh?
Capcom needs to do you right one day. You're keeping the dream of Kyle Travers alive for them and everybody.
So it was like 13-year-old me cosplaying as everyone's favorite Final Fight character.
I liked shopping for clothes because you'd often get feedback from the shop attendant. I put on these just stupid looking leather gauntlets, and he was like, yo, it seems like everybody wants these. It's like, do they? Does everybody want these? I guess that was one downside of playing a game that's almost 20 years old. Like, some fashion has started to return as we cycle backwards, but we're not quite back at this era. And I hope we don't get there.
Oh, I hope we do.
Like, at least there's positive reinforcement, you know? Like, yeah, he was probably lying the whole time, you know?
Fair.
That's a good salesman would.
Yeah. I have decided now that because I hate when I see anyone on the internet use the word sus, and it's worse when people say it in real life, I have decided after this game that when I see sus, I'm going to imagine that what they're saying is Syndicate Urban Streetwear. That's when I see that, that's my new context because I can't stand it otherwise.
God, just imagine having a conversation with a 9-year-old and they say sus. You're like, you are a big Fight for New York fan?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Which, Did you agree with the choices of hitting Busta Rhymes in the head with a bat, or would you have
I was going to say, what was your favorite Mark Echo outfit?
I guess that was another one of my fashion questions. Mark, did you wear a lot of Mark Echo back in the day because he's one of the few famous Marks with your same spelling?
I'm not gonna lie, as a kid, that confused the hell out of me because I wasn't used to seeing my name. I was just like, what is this? Like, if I ever did wear it, it wasn't a, what's the word? It wasn't like, that this is my first choice, this is me, I want this, let mom take me to the mall, what have you. If I had anything Echo, it was handed down. Because being the youngest out of 3 brothers, so my 2 older brothers, like, one had a very hip-hop inspired fashion, and the other one did not. So I just had, like, a mixture of clothes. So I'd have, like, super baggy pants and shirts on, like, this 80-pound kid, or, like, more skater-esque wear. So, yeah, so, there might be some Echo thrown in there, maybe some FUBU, stuff like that. False.
That we'll see. Jury's out on whether or not that comes back. I feel like I've seen certain things. I've seen clothes get a bit baggier now in the last year or two, but not quite as big as it was then.
Yeah, no one. I'm still waiting for Jinko to be the thing again.
Yeah. I don't think we're too far off. I feel like it's like super close.
Go beyond baggy. Cover your shoes.
Yeah.
That's probably a good brand name right there. Beyond baggy.
That is good. Jot that down. We can make that a thing.
Brought to you by Sus.
Brought to you, yeah. I went martial arts fighting style. What fighting style did you guys choose?
I really can't remember what I did in my first couple playthroughs of this, but this time around I went wrestling first, and then I incorporated street fighting. And I don't think I'd ever done submission again, or I'd ever done submission before, so I added that to my repertoire just to see if I can get someone to tap out. But it's so that was like one of the weird gameplay mechanics, trying to get someone to tap out. It's just not as fast paced as the rest of the game. But anyway, that's a different thing. But yeah, no, I went wrestling. I went more traditional.
Mark, what about you?
To stay in Kyle Travers fashion, I only did Street Fighter.
Love that. Yeah, I ended up later adopting Street because I was really torn between martial arts and Street at the beginning, and I was happy to see that you could start pulling some of that stuff in after the fact. Yeah.
So, Mark, you put yourself in like an accidental hard mode by accident. You realize that, right?
I did realize that. I was about to set the game on easy, but yeah, those combos aren't great.
Well, it's not that. It's the when you add more fighting styles. Was that the proper term? Styles.
I think it's fighting style. Yeah.
Some of them. So when you're upgrading your stats, there's that middle bar that goes up in time. I think that's mapped to a percentage, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But then there's like the 5 dots.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot to get this colored in, but if you adopt other fighting styles, it helps with those handicaps. So, like, you might have super low health if you're just wrestling, but when you add in street fighting and something else, your health finally gets a proper bump. So you upgrade your stats in a way by picking other styles in addition.
Gotcha. So, yeah, that I had a little trouble understanding, because it was like getting the dev points for some reason felt like a nightmare to gain, and I would get so little in return. I was like, well, I'm never going to have enough to get new moves or learn new styles. I'm just going to put everything into working out and just upping my stats. So that's all I was doing.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, the fact that the add in the final styles doesn't. That's not well explained. I don't even think it is explained that it helps improve your stats.
It didn't even tell me how to sprint.
If you don't fight that way.
I did enjoy the fighting system overall. I want to take a minute to kind of break that open because there are the different fighting styles, but generally well, I don't know because I didn't do anything super wrestly, but you're saying, Matt, that the first one was more straight up wrestling, and this one kind of adds in different styles, fleshes it out a bit more. But the thing I like in this one too is that you also have crowd interaction, you have weapons you can pull in, and you have environment interactions.
Yeah, for sure. That first one is definitely wrestling heavy. There's not even fighting styles. There's like I think it's the same stat categories as you were upgrading in New York proper. But yeah, no, this one it still has the grappling system and the punching system and stuff. It's not as intense, but it's there. But this one feels more like a fighting game more than a wrestling game at times, depending on how you play and just how fast the matches are or the fights are or whatever. I went back to Vendetta fresh for a couple matches before this episode just to kind of give myself a reminder. And some of it was me fighting and figuring out the controls again, but my match times on average for like the 3 or 4 that I did were much longer than my fight times on New York. So yeah, that faster gameplay made it out to be a little bit better and feel more like a fighting game. And the way the fighting styles play to the way you KO, and I had a feeling you might go into that next.
Yeah, you kind of build up a meter, right? And then, I guess, was this unique to my fight style at the beginning? Is it always right stick for everything?
For your blaze. Blaze move.
You, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you fill up that meter. It says, well, no, it doesn't say it yet. You have to hit the right stick to trigger blaze. You get a really cool cinematic cutscene that signifies you are now blazed. And then, in my case, it was grapple and then right stick again to execute the finishing move.
I believe all blaze moves are mapped to just grappling. I can't. Yeah. There might be a few that do something different, but to my knowledge, they're all grapple based.
Yeah, because you can have 4 in whatever direction you go with.
Yeah.
Right.
They were good, and then like overall, generally fighting, I felt like it toggled between being pretty easy and then just being incredibly frustrating. Because I was not good or forgetting or something. So, or I was entering matches that were maybe a little bit above my league and I needed to go back and retool some of my stats. Or not, you can't retool, but I hadn't visited Henry Rollins in quite a bit. So maybe it was time to go visit him and stat up. But then it gets going, and then I do like that you start to get different environments and different ways that kind of, I don't know, like the first time you fight Ice-T, you're in an actual ring for the first time versus, I think up to that point, all the places you were in, it was like a bar. I think at that point you have the bar in the underground. What was it called? I forget all the names of the actual locations.
I can't remember them all.
I remember his was 357 just because that stands out. But yeah, you had the bar. You had that like underground fighting scene or whatever. And then you've got the 357 club where Ice-T. Which also I wasn't sure who was all going to be in this game when it started it. But from the very beginning, when I let the intro video play and I heard, "Yeah, come on, let's go," I was like, "Oh, cool! Ice-T's in this game." I had no idea.
Sorry, I'm trying to click on all the ads on the one website I visited to get these. Yeah, you had the Foundation was, I think, like the first one, Club 357, the Limit, the Energy Plant. I mean, it took you all around. But like you said, the different environments, it gave different ways of fighting. I mean, a lot of times the way I fought was like up against a wall. Like I would constantly throw dude against wall and beat his head in.
Yep.
Pretty viciously. And keep doing that, and then use the wall for a KO. If I was having trouble getting my strong grapple off. But sometimes the environment you were playing, like the ring, you can't do that. You have to resort to something else. It kind of keeps you on your toes a little bit. And then sometimes the fighters are well equipped for that ring. There is a fight later in the game, I would say probably about 2/3 of the way through, with Flavor Flav. And he's very much like a high flying type of character. And I forget the name of it. I'm trying to. Is it the Pit? The Pit has these 3 like metal beams in the middle of like the area, and Flavor Flav constantly like jumps on top of them, tries to do like an aerial move on you. So and not every character is going to keep doing that. So no, I like the variety of the venues, not just like background setting, but just in terms of making you play in different ways.
I had that a bit with Ice-T's fight. He kept climbing on the corners of the ring and trying to jump at me, and I feel like he wasn't the first challenge I had. The first challenge I had was that first fight you have after you pick a girlfriend.
Oh my god.
That was yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But after you do that, and then you have to fight, it's 9, right? Wasn't that his name? It was like N.
Yes. Oh yes, something. Yep.
But yeah, you have to fight him to, I guess, prove that you pick one of 4 women to be your girlfriend at a bar, find out that they have a boyfriend, 9, and then you open up a new location, you have to fight him. I lost that fight. Did you guys win that fight?
I almost did.
Probably
so you
did. What?
If
it's
you
not a
do,
game over if you lose?
No, if you lose, you get a different girlfriend.
Oh, that one.
You don't get one of the 4. You get a different.
Didn't know that.
So that, and then you still have to defeat 9. Like he's still on the board, on the map or whatever to go defeat. But I think you can rematch, but I just didn't because I was like, maybe I need to do stats or something, and that kind of kicked in the cutscene or whatever. So I had trouble with that, and the first time I fought Ice-T, I had some trouble. And I let that one go. And Ice-T, I was very, I don't know. I forget that Ice-T was a rapper because he's just so, like, he's just the dude on Law and Order now, right? Like, and the guy that, like, tweets about stuff. Like, I know he's more than that, but you forget. But he was did some terrible things about my parents when he beat me. Put it that way. Individually. But I did like that, like how much trash everybody talks. I liked that even though some of these people were playing characters that were not themselves, they still were able to like bring their own personalities into it and stuff. Like, I don't know, you could recognize most of the people in this, right? And like it just feels like a fun, dumb story. Like, did you guys ever watch like The Wash? The movie with Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre where they work at a car wash. And it is the dumbest movie, but it's one of my favorite movies of all time. But it has so many recognizable faces, and they're all just like goofing off and whatever. Like, it's just, this kind of felt like that. Like the story's ridiculous and like over the top and whatever, but like you follow it, you're there for the plot, you're there for all the people. I don't know. I think it worked in its own way. It shouldn't work, but it felt just as real as any dumb movie from back then, you know?
Yeah, doesn't Snoop Dogg go by Crow?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he plays a character named Crow in this.
And it's like the most like, it's like the beefiest Snoop Dogg I've ever seen.
All of them kind of were. Like everybody had a little bit more than they should have.
I don't know. Fat Joe seemed as fat as he actually does. Sorry, crack.
Right. Yeah.
That was an interesting match because my character this time around, fucking super heavyweight. It was probably like 800 pounds in that ring.
The game definitely had its own style, you know, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the gameplay being as over the top as it is just lends to just how over the top the presentation is. Because I feel like at a point, like the story's so ridiculous. This whole premise is fucking wild. Like if the game was at all realistic, like any of the Blaze moves are like not the crazy over the top thing, like something super serious or anything, you know, like if curb stomping someone's head into the wall 5 times in a row, like if that wasn't a possibility in this game, I don't think it plays out. I think the whole just, all right, well, this is over the top, so you have to make this over the top, and because this is over the top, we have to make this over the top, and everything just kind of marries just to be this wild. You don't see many of these types of games.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting this to be as wrestling inspired as it is when I was first jumping into it. Like I thought it was going to be just like a 3D brawler, maybe a little more on like the Tekken-ish side of things. And then I don't know, like it's like I like it, but then it has like its frustrations at the same time. Like depending on the level, like sometimes the scenery gets in the way of the view, or if I'm trying to sprint to the person, my depth of like perception is just way off, and I just like completely miss them if I'm trying to do a move. Like it's hard to really like aim at the character sometimes. But I think my biggest challenge was, maybe it's just me, but it felt like there's just like random difficulty spikes. With like with the AI, like just like one match they might be horrible and like easy to like beat up on, but then out of nowhere they just like take you down in like a minute.
I think sometimes is within the match. I can't tell you how many times playing this time around, like I'm just dominating the match. I get Blaze within 30 seconds, and as soon as I hit Blaze, oh my god, the whole match is 180 to now I'm like down in danger permanently, not just like, you know, temporarily, permanently in danger within the minute and a half mark, just because everything's getting reversed, everything, you know.
Like they're flawless with everything they do.
Yeah, you know, they successfully get away from every Blaze, or every Blaze attempt that I do, you know. I feel, you know, not only difficulty spikes just from opponent to opponent sometimes, but man, within the match, sometimes I felt it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. You don't have direct camera control in this, so you can't really like, you can kind of like force your way around, but like right stick is not rotate camera, so it doesn't let you like fix or adjust for those things.
The whole Fight Club arena was just like,
yeah,
that's not my favorite place to be.
Yeah. Anything like that with like a ring of people around you was difficult to get your bearings.
I did like that assist in some ways, where like they could hold an enemy, or they could hold you, or they could push you back. So like they were kind of the ropes in a way.
I liked how the charisma played into that too.
Yeah. And the moves you chose to do and the things you did, like if you ran for too frequently in a game, then you were at a detriment to building up your meter and having hype behind you.
Well, part of it was dressing for the occasion too. Your clothes,
you got to
help
look
your charisma.
Part.
Yeah, if you look like shit, no, I'm not gonna help the asshole that's not wearing diamonds. The guy that's got the diamonds,
I want him to win.
I got his back. Life.
I also really enjoyed unlocking trophies in the game. This is, today that's just a thing that happens. There's achievements in everything, but this was predating those systems being real, from starting with 360 and whatnot. But you got to unlock things that were inside of your little in-game menu. And I love the way the menu worked too. Just like the way it's snapped around, like we don't have good menu design like that, and we rarely have good menu design like that. I think now it's just pick from these 5 options, and that will lead you into another 5 options in a list, and then choose from one of these and 2 of these, and congratulations, you're playing a video game.
And shout out to the T-Mobile Sidekick.
So, as I played this game, I would make notes, right? And I'd play a bit, I'd, take some time off from it, right? Like, play other things, whatever. Every time I came back to it, I made a note in my list of... I have multiple things here over the course of me playing this game where I made mention of the Sidekick and then had to stop and think, did I already write something about... Oh, I did? Whatever, I'm not going to delete this. It's worth... I have a bunch of things here where, like, let's see. The Sidekick is still the coolest phone. Later, I think we should bring back keyboards on phones. Hold on, there's something else buried in all of this. I've spent a long time looking for a case that turns my iPhone into a Sidekick. These are all just things I wrote down throughout the course. I remember one night specifically pausing this game just so I could open and browse a strong, high number of dead ends leading me nowhere. 15-year-old threads about people trying to find attachable keyboards for their iPhones, and it's like, how do I get my iPhone 3 to have a keyboard? And everyone's like, you're defeating the purpose. It doesn't need one. There's a touchscreen keyboard. Here I am, 2023, waving my hands at the air, wondering when the Sidekick will come back. Sidekick should come back. We need to have... That's true innovation.
I mean, well, now your smartphones can fold, apparently, so...
Yeah, but...
we're getting there.
I want to see a fold like the Sidekick, though. I want to see that rotation like that, not a flip. I want to see the...
Yeah, I want to slide.
Yeah, the Sidekick... Sorry, the phone in Fight for New York got a get up, because before it was just a generic black phone, and the screen was green in Vendetta.
Oh, nice.
And you were getting your text messages that way.
It was just like a Nokia cell phone.
And I don't think there were any voice messages either in that first game. Maybe
I
didn't get far enough in the couple matches that I played, but I had no voice messages.
What a highlight. My favorite was getting a threat message from Sean Paul, and that was supposed to be intimidating, and I just laughed at it.
Yeah, like, of all the... Right?
Sean Paul, okay. Oh, man.
Yeah, so this also, if you're wondering what happened to Aki Corporation, where are they now, so to speak, I did look up to see what's happened since Def Jam. Of course, they developed No Mercy and some other WWF, WCW games in that era. Aki Corporation is now known as Sin Sophia Incorporated. I think the thing most recognizable in the last decade is its work with Nintendo to create the Style Savvy series on the DS or 3DS, etc. And they have the upcoming Fashion Dreamer releasing sometime in 2023 on Nintendo Switch, where you get to become an influencer. Yeah, the one that was in that most recent Nintendo Direct. Those are the folks what made Def Jam Fight for New York.
Well, I guess that's assuming that the same devs even stuck around.
Sure.
At that point, too.
But, yeah.
That's a shift.
Yeah. Did they... I didn't even check. Did they also make Icon, or did that not... Was that not from them?
I don't think that was them.
I wouldn't
Just by
imagine.
looking at the box art, I get a vibe.
Icon's more, it's straight up like a fighting game, I think.
Yeah, I do not see them listed on it. And that one was...
That was PS3?
Yeah, it was, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, this was developed... That one was developed by EA Chicago.
It was a highly traded in game when I worked at GameStop.
Yeah, I mean, for comparison's sake, for listeners at home, well, I don't know. That one's rating pretty decently. If you look, like, it's all middling across all these publications, but like,
I think the thing was it was not like even close gameplay style to what
yeah,
Fight for New York or Vendetta. I know like Fight for New York definitely went more towards like fighting with wrestling incorporated into the mix, but yeah, no, this was just straight up like a Street Fighter, that kind of fighter.
Yeah, all the reviews are between 6s and 8s for every publication, compared to Fight for New York. It's all like 8s and above. So, or actually not really. It's all 8s. It's either 8s or 4 out of 5, you know what I mean? So it's all basically right in that sweet spot. Yeah.
That's like one game I never really hear get talked about. Like, I mean, even though like Def Jam wasn't really on my radar, I've definitely heard of these two games more so than Icon. Like, even like, the fighting game community, I never really hear about Icon.
No, I don't think you will. There's someone out there trying to make, a tournament happen at every Evo, I'm sure. But yeah, final thoughts on this one, or anything else we didn't talk about that you guys want to hit on?
I think we kind of touched on it a little bit. I just like the KO conditions in this game a lot, especially like coming off a Vendetta where it's very, very pin heavy. I think in that game you can KO an opponent if they're in danger and you do your blaze move, but yeah, in this one, like, I just like how all the different styles had their own different way of getting a knockout. That kind of built into your strategy a little bit. And then, yeah, just using the environment, or like, hitting someone with a weapon while they're in danger. Done. Curb stopping someone's head in when they're in danger. Done. Yeah, it added to strategy. I don't know. I'm not going to say there's a ton of strategy. And granted, like, these are like 3-minute, maybe max matches, unless you both are in danger. It might be like a 4-minute match. But it's just something else to kind of pay attention to. When you're in danger, like having to look out, they're a Street Fighter and can knock you out with a punch, maybe be more on the block side. And then what like your style is as well. It feels like they're countering every grapple. If you're a Street Fighter, well, just step up and hit them with a haymaker, and take them out that way. I appreciate that change in this game. Yeah, and again, we talked about it at length. I don't want to spoil it too much. Man, the story's fucking nuts. Like, the story is fucking dumb in the best way possible. You even get a heel turn in it, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And then the final couple, I guess the final two fights, the unique arenas besides the subway fight.
Yeah.
There's some fun blaze move opportunities there that you can take out.
Final fight,
some.
Yeah.
That you can execute to get a special cutscene. Yeah, the end cutscene doesn't make any sense unless you do that first. Unless you do that special cutscene.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you reminded me that one other piece we didn't cover really was what you're unlocking from story mode. I mean, yeah, you unlock stuff for your character in story mode, but you're also unlocking the other playable characters and the playable stages so that in multiplayer you can all play up to 4 players locally to just fight it out. Because there are a bunch of story fights that are 4 characters on screen at once as well. And you can do that in multiplayer if you choose. You also unlock other tracks for the soundtrack. And then you can kind of customize what plays as well. You can turn tracks off from being in the rotation. Yeah.
And you can also, to really get the middle finger to your opponents, you can wear their jewelry after you beat their ass. Nothing like wearing Flavor Flav's clock.
Mark, any final thoughts or things we didn't hit on? You were.
I do like usually EA is a field I don't have a lot of interest in nowadays. But when they do handle like some licensed stuff or what have you, they tend to be pretty they go all the way with it. It feels like
around this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
like between like so my the comparisons in my head, oddly enough, are both are actually music related, but because you have this, and then I think when they were publishing Rock Band, specifically two was like the peak when it came to like design and like customization and like all that stuff. They just, and like even the menus and everything, like I feel like they just went all out. Like the budget was there, and like even with this, just navigating everything was so simple and precise enough. Like the map, even like in story mode, it was easy to go to each location. Like you knew what each thing was. Everything had a nice like cohesiveness to it, and nothing ever really felt too overwhelming. There wasn't a lot of hand holding with the tutorial stuff. Everything felt pretty well, and though it wasn't quite up there with the impact that Burnout had on me, because that was EA published, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like there's a weird vibe with all that I can make a connection with somehow, but I do appreciate that production side of it when it comes to this game.
I don't know, because I guess EA Big shut down at this point, because the first game was under the EA Big umbrella.
Okay.
And then this got EA Games, but I can't remember when Big got kind of canned. I don't know if you know off the top of your head, someone, but
I forget.
It
was,
but yeah, no, around this
stuff, but yeah.
I mean, around this time too, EA Games proper is publishing the Lord of the Rings movie tie-ins. All those games are excellent. Those couple James Bond games, like Agent Under Fire and Night, and everyone talks about Nightfire. Those two games,
yeah.
I played both of them. They're pretty good. That's EA. Actually, no, maybe Agent Under Fire is not EA. Anyway, Nightfire's though. Nightfire is, and yeah, again, very licensed games with a budget.
Yeah.
Or what seemingly like with like a budget. They play well.
Definitely.
They're not half baked.
For sure.
Yeah, I really struggled to try and think of something even equivalent or close to equivalent today. I feel like today, if anyone was going to put Method Man in a game, it would be...
It won't happen.
Well, yeah. The last good game, and correct me, I would have to look this up, the last good game I remember Method Man being a part of was Sour Patch Kids World Gone Sour, the PlayStation Network exclusive downloadable platformer.
I didn't even know he was in that, but...
There's an unlockable music video in the credits, or in the menu, and he has a whole rap about Sour Patch Kids. Look it up.
I'm sad I didn't play this.
It might be... I don't remember. Maybe it wasn't just on PSN.
Also, quick question. Is it a missed opportunity that Fred Durst was a playable character in Fight Club, but not this?
Wait, are you asking us or are you telling us?
I feel like they probably should have gone further. Like, I think the sequel to this should have been, a deeper. Like, let's branch outside and get every.
Yeah, because I always had the wires crossed that I thought Fred Durst was in this game, but he's not.
No, he's not.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
He's in. He wanted to be in Fight Club.
So the Capcom published World Gone Sour was first released on Windows December 20th, 2011, PlayStation Network April 10th, 2012, and Xbox Live April 11th, 2012. The PlayStation Network and Xbox Live versions were delisted in August 2015. I do not see anything about the Windows version, so you might still be in luck if you could.
What a strange era with that too, with like that the Doritos Xbox Live games, the Burger King games, like
yeah.
There is one last thing. You all, what you've missed in Vendetta is one of the hardest boss fights ever, and his name's DMX. We're talking about difficulty spikes in this game. Vendetta, I think, is just kind of letting you play the game, and then you kind of come across DMX, and it's like, all right, now you're going to play the game.
Yeah, and not having like the roughest of the Rough Riders not being in a sequel is a little weird.
Yeah, I don't know why he wasn't.
You kill him in the
sequel.
first game, or
I don't remember killing him. I mean, everyone else is kind of. Pretty much everyone else from that game is in it besides DMX. So I don't know.
I'm sure it was.
I don't know. I'm sure it was kind of rights usage or whatever.
Legal shiz.
Yeah, it's interesting. Also, D-Mob's like the bad guy in the first game, and he's all of a sudden like your best friend in this one. So that was always weird. That was always weird first time playing through it, because you kind of just want to be on Crow's team after the events of the first game.
Because he's the same character in the first game, is that?
I mean, it's D-Mob?
Crow, I mean.
No, Crow's not even in the first game.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think, okay.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg's not in it. So yeah, it's like you against the ranks of D-Mob. And so, like, everyone that's on your team in this game, you are in Fight for New York, you had to like face in Vendetta as the antagonist, which is kind of weird.
They should do another one.
Don't hold your breath on that one.
There's a lot of games in this list. I feel like I get to the end of the episode and my brain is just ringing with the thought of they should make another one of these, and I don't.
Some of them we're hopeful for.
Yeah.
Some of them I'm hopeful for. I can see a possibility. There is absolutely zero chance you get another Def Jam wrestling game.
There was something they were trying to do not too long ago, wasn't there? Wasn't there some sort of revival, or?
Don't people keep trying to get them to remaster this one?
Probably. And I know there's a Wu-Tang game being developed right now.
There's way too many licenses to be had here.
Yeah.
No way.
Well, that brings us to the point in our episode when we rank Def Jam Fight for New York on the list. You can follow along with the list at thefreecheese.com/thelist. Where are we thinking this one lands for us? Anyone have like a sweet
Matt,
spot?
where's this land?
You what?
I'll give you. I have a proper answer to that smart ass remark from Mark over there. I am high on this game, but not quite as high as No Mercy. I kind of seen it around that a vague area. It's actually a big area now I'm looking at. That vague area of like Hypno, Phasmo, up into Max Payne.
Where's Max Payne?
13.
Oh, you're going from Hypno up.
Yes.
I see. All right. Yeah. Is this the new... Do we like Parasite Eve over this?
I think I like Parasite Eve slightly more.
You do?
I think I do.
Mark, what do you think?
Now, ask me next week. I'll probably say no, but...
I do like Parasite Eve more.
Done. And we like this over Hypnospace, yeah?
I think I do. I know you guys are, I think, higher on Hypno than I am, though.
I'm definitely higher on Hypno.
I like this one a lot, but Hypno did leave a profound impact on me. This one was a lot of fun, and I'm happy that we played it. Does this fall above or below Phasmophobia?
Personally, like this better than Phasmo. I think it's just more so. It has more of the things that I like, though. Like, it has like a story mode that has a front and an end. They're completely different games in the way they're approached.
I agree.
However, this one, after 5 hours, replayability, I don't think it's great. You can play with friends, you unlock characters, but you're not. It's not like a part 2 to the sequel or to the story mode or whatever. Phasmo, we talked about it. What, last week? Or, yeah, 500. That's the perfect game to kind of check in once a month, see if there's anything new, play a couple rounds. I mean, you do it more frequently than that, but it's kind of perfect for that. So it's kind of what your flavor is there.
Yeah. So my initial spot on this list was like around SSX Tricky.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see how high I can go.
I was down by...
Oh, that's fine.
I was down by Snatcher, but I didn't see it going above Bomberman.
Oh,
which, for the listeners not looking at the list, we're down in the 31, 32 range. But then I started looking at some things above, and that's where I was like, nah, maybe this is up near like a... the talk of Burnout 3's soundtrack and that kind of thing made me start to look higher on the list. I'm like, oh yeah, this one is, and I really liked this game.
Yeah, like I think I do like this more than Tokyo Jungle. I can confidently say that.
I think that's fair.
You're asking for the fucking
this
joke.
Better than
You're asking for the fucking joke. Where I completed more matches in under a minute than I got fucking any kind of gameplay in Tokyo Jungle.
But I like this over No Mercy also. So that's a weird one where
yeah, that's where I...
No Mercy's
too
great,
technically, yeah.
But this is another thing where the aesthetics of it, I'd much rather hang out with Meth and Redman than I would The Rock and The Undertaker.
It is a more playable game than Deadly Premonition, though. So it's like... Yeah. It's so weird. It's so weird to like how this game can fluctuate.
I will say there's a similarity between Deadly Premonition and Def Jam. They are equally crazy and bizarre games.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm fine with it being either above or below Phasmo.
I think I'm going to go above. Phasmo eventually could be better, but right now in its current state, with it just being still in development and in progress,
it doesn't feel like a complete game.
Yeah, it doesn't. And it not in a bad way, just it is what it is. And Def Jam is its whole self. It's always going to be what it is, and I think it works well.
And it's never going to be made again.
Yeah. I think you get a nice complete package with Def Jam.
Top 20.
I know, look at that. Shout out to Aki, making it happen.
So next year, what Aki game?
Style Savvy, dude. Or what's this new one? Fashion
No.
Dreamer.
No. Oh, maybe I could do the PSP game. There we go. Look forward to Fight for New York: The Takeover.
Perfect.
PSP.
Do you have exclusive characters in that one?
I don't know. I've never played. I've never really even seen The Takeover.
I think that one's actually a prequel to Vendetta, from what I was looking into.
Is it? It is. Oh shit! Well, stay tuned next year when we find out what happens before Vendetta, the game we did not talk about.
Next week, we will not be adding our 60th game to the list. Instead, right in line with changing of the seasons, we're going to go backwards a bit and discuss our respective golden eras in video games. So the three of us have self-identified what we define as our golden era. We will talk about the platforms involved, the games we loved, and share, like 5 to 10 games from that era that were important to us and that define that era for us. And then, I guess we'll have to find a spot to do the silver era at some point too. But till then, next week, golden. Let us know what your golden era was or is. Podcast at thefreecheese.com. Make a recommendation for some of these other gaps in our schedule this year that we still have to fill in. If you want to see us talk about a game or a topic, podcast at thefreecheese.com. Tell a friend, tell your family, the Free Cheese Podcast. Until then, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, listener, for listening. Bye.